Good afternoon and welcome to part one of a two-part series of webinars entitled 10 Critical Steps to Increase Employee Retention. My name is Roy Barker and I'm with Moore Diversified Services, and I'll be your presenter this afternoon. First off, I want to thank you for joining us, and this is a slightly different format. We will do 25 to 30 minutes, and if we run out of time for questions, please feel free to email me directly, or you can even give me a call at the numbers listed on the presentation. Also at the end, we'd like for you to take a few minutes and answer a two-question survey. A little bit more about Moore Diversified Services. We're a national full-service boutique consulting firm that specializes in senior living and healthcare, and we do work for both for-profit and not-for-profits. We've been in business for over 40 years, and we offer all types of services. Some of the main ones we do are market feasibility studies, competitive analysis, pro formas, SWOT analysis, and then, of course, operations and benchmarking, marketing, mystery shopping, and employee turnover. And you can see the rest. And there's also, quite a few that aren't listed. But if there's any work that you need done, please feel free to give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. We also have a retainer agreement, and that's a great way for companies to take advantage of our knowledge and all the many things that we've accumulated over the years, without having to hire somebody full-time. You can just take advantage of us, usually about 10 to 12 hours a month. So if that shared executive is something that interests you, I'd be glad to talk to you about that as well. Again, my name is Roy, and I've been with MDS for over 15 years. I usually focus more on the operations side with the financials, benchmarking, marketing, and employee retention, also with some training and coaching for executive directors and sales teams. So let's get straight to our webinar today. The point is, again, what are some critical steps that we can take in order to increase employee retention? And so today's outline, we're going to cover steps 1 through 5, initial screening, orientation, job-specific training, providing a mentor, and ongoing training. So why worry about employee retention? Well, there's not only the monetary cost, and those have been put for entry-level workers that average about $10. The cost of replacing them is about $7,500. But there are also other intangible costs, such as the impact on employee morale, and the biggest one is the impact on the residents. And I can't say enough about change is one thing that residents are very adverse to, and so when they see a continual turnover of either CNAs or aides or whatever the employee is, that is really very, very hard on them. So, preventing employee turnover, it saves money, helps us operate more efficiently, and also it takes a big burden off of the the business office staff and the executive director. I know that I've worked with one group where they were hiring 15 or 20 direct care workers every month, and so it gets to be a strain where a lot of other important issues are being dropped in order just to continually fill staffing. So it's very important, and also this begins, the employee retention part begins their very first day that they show up. So here again, I talked a little bit about this. The entry-level costs are about $7,500 to turn them over. When we get into the management staff, that probably is about 100 to 125% of their yearly salary. Executive type employees, probably 200 plus of their salary, and technical workers, just due to all the screening that you have to do. Of course, we're not really, not heavily tech laden, but there are some organizations that do employ IT types, and those guys can cost about 400%. So it's of their salary turnover. So it's very important to not only make the right hire, but take all the necessary steps in which to keep, which to retain these employees that we've taken all this time to train. In assisted living, the last turnover rates that I saw were about 45%, but realistically, a lot of communities work in the 100% range, and that's turning over every person basically at the community every year. And then there are some that I have witnessed that were in the 300 and 500% range. So that was just a couple crazy situations, but the reality is that there are senior living companies that have taken steps to reduce their employee turnover into the high teens to the lower 20s, which is excellent. And they've done that through these steps of which we're going to cover today. Also, one thing that comes up is, I think there's a joke goes around a lot that says, the CFO walks into the CEO's office and says, how can we continue to train these employees and have them leave and go somewhere else? And the CEO says, well, how can we not train them and have them stay here? So while we think it's useless to train people because they just grow into a position and leave, that's not always true. Employees want to feel like a valuable part of the team, and that's what we need to do in order to retain them, is make them feel like that. The other big advantage to the retaining employees is on the risk management side. And hopefully nobody will ever have to go to court on it, but I can say that there will be suits on this, because that's where we're seeing the largest growth in litigation is in services and care provided. And a lot of times it has to do with not enough staffing. And so when you have no calls and no shows, that not only lowers your staffing, but then also when half of your team or better are 30-day new employees, the other risk you run is that these people weren't trained well and didn't know what they were doing. So employee retention can help you with that. In case you ever find yourself embroiled in a lawsuit, the retention can be a big thing in your favor. So let's get into the first item, is initial screening. Of course, you want to talk to them about gaps and any short-term jobs to find out exactly what's going on. And I know that a lot of people just kind of skip over this if they do have gaps or a lot of short-term jobs. And what we need to do is ask more questions about this, because unfortunately in the economic times that we've been through, there have been a lot of people who have been struggling to just make ends meet, and they've also been underemployed. And a good friend of mine was in the building trades, and she went through probably 4 or 5 layoffs over the last 6 or 7 years, with companies downsizing and consolidating in the building trades industry. And so being a single mother with a house and kids to feed, she had to take any job that was available. And so her resume, while it looked terrible, she was really a good, steady employee. She just needed a chance. So take the time to ask those questions. Getting a second opinion, we also recommend either having a colleague set in on an interview, or having a team that helps you in the hiring process. And I think it's Amazon that has a very, very in-depth group screening process, and anybody along the way can veto a hire, just because they not only want to make sure that they have the skill set necessary, but they also want to make sure that they have the attitude and that they will fit in with the work group which they'll be participating. So sometimes we say that it's better to hire for attitude and train for skill in certain instances, because you have to look at an attitude as something that people pass around, and so you have to ask yourself, is this a person that do we want other people to catch their attitude? Because having a great attitude can boost a team, and having a poor attitude can really bring a team down. Another good idea is maybe send out a questionnaire, or in some instances a test prior to the interview to gain a little more information. Perform a thorough background check. Here again, this is a little dicey because past employers don't want to give you any information for fear of being sued. But what you can do, you can get the name, rank, and serial number as far as, hire dates and dates, beginning and end dates of employment. But sometimes just having a casual conversation with the person on the other end of the phone, they can let more information come out than just asking direct questions. So, I just encourage you to kind of just have a conversation with the person about things, about jobs and different things like that, and you never know what might come out. The other thing that's important to ask is if they were eligible for rehire. And a lot of times people will tell you yes, and I've had cases of that where I know that they weren't, and I know that somebody has been told yes just for fear that they might, get into some type of litigation down the road. So you can't always count on it. Go ahead and ask that. And then, of course, contact any references. Here again, having a conversation and just, being not quite as formal and professional. We need to get the information, but sometimes just having a casual conversation with people, more either good or bad can come out about the candidate. Second thing, we'll talk about orientation. This should start immediately, and a lot of times it's just not done at all. We just go, directly from an interview to putting somebody in a position to work. And what we need to do is take the time to, really orientate them about not only the work environment, but the job they're going to be doing, the team that they're going to be on, and any work processes or procedures that they, may need to know. While it sounds a little counterintuitive, this can actually reduce startup costs by getting the employee off to a faster start than just kind of throwing them at a desk or putting them out on the floor and just letting them find their own way. Also saves supervisor some future time, because he's going to be able to see what skills they excel in and where they may be lacking, and be able to probably get them some help sooner. And then it also will help the employee's attitude by not feeling so lost. And then we also, the supervisor needs to cover with them their realistic job expectations, and, that way they cut down on the mistakes that are likely made. Third thing is job-specific training, kind of what I was talking about on the orientation is, once we kind of get them situated and orientated to the position that they're in, to, the company, the work group, the building, their environment that surrounds them, we want to make sure that we give them the training that they need, because each company operates a little bit different, has different systems and procedures and different things that are important to them. So it's very important to be very specific, and that way the employee can be confident that they're giving you what you want. This also would help you address their strengths and weaknesses, that if maybe you want to reshuffle workloads or positions based on somebody's strength, or if you do detect a weakness in this, again, you can get them the proper training to help strengthen them in these areas where they can be a good producer for you. And of course, this is a payback too, because you also will increase the productivity of this employer at the employee at a faster rate. And then, of course, we will have a happier workforce, and then we also will have happier residents, which leads to happy customers, which leads to retaining our residents and attracting new prospects as well. The fourth thing is provide a mentor, and what they do is they can serve as a coach to help the new employees. You know, sometimes starting at a new job, even if you have a very good orientation and good job-specific training, sometimes you know, you kind of get out there and you feel lost and you're not sure if you're on the right path, if you're doing this right, or maybe you run into a situation you don't know how to handle. So great thing is to provide a mentor. And need to remember that a mentor should not only be, you know, a high achiever, somebody that excels at their work, but they also have to have a good attitude. We sure don't want to pair up a new employee with an existing employee who either is not very good at their job or is marginal at their job and or, you know, has a crummy attitude. So we want to make sure that we find a high performer with a good attitude to put them with, to, you know, kind of help guide them and always be there for this employee to, for the new employee to go to. This also assimilates into company culture. It's, you know, they can help them kind of navigate the office politics and know what's going on. And the value that a new employee can gain, even if you've been in the business for a while, there's always still something to learn. So pairing them with you know, having a mentor, they may even learn some new tricks of the trade. And then also the new mentor or the mentor can pick up on what a new employee might need in order to help them grow in their professional life, maybe additional training or coaching. And of course, the last thing we'll talk about today is point 5, is the ongoing training. And here again, this is important. Like I think I said before, the employees want to feel like the company is investing in them, like they're important. And you know, the people, employers think employees leave because of they might earn 10 cents more going across the street, and that's not true. The empirical study after empirical study has proven that wage incentives are not the main reason that employees leave a company. The main reason they leave is they don't feel valued. They feel like they're lost and alone and, you know, fighting a fight all by themselves. There was a study that I read not long ago that said about 80% of employees are pushed out and only 20% are pulled out. And basically what that's saying is that, you know, 20% are lured away by something another company may be offering, and then, you know, 80% of the employees are pushed out either because of working for a bad manager, not feeling valuable. So, you know, I guess if we look at that study, we could say that, you know, 80% of our employee turnover is basically controllable, and it's usually self-inflicted in some manner. Also, you know, schedule seminars and workshops. You know, nowadays we have the internet, so a lot of this can be done online. It's not like we have to pack somebody up and put them on a plane and ship them off to get the training. We can put them down in front of a computer. And the great part about this is not only are we investing in an employee, making them a better employee, but we have that risk management asset that we are helping guard against as well. And you've got to dedicate the time and the money, and about 57% don't dedicate enough time to ongoing training, and about 40% don't have enough money in the budget. So, you know, one thing that we say is train to retain. And there are also a couple good services. One is on the front end, the initial screening. There are some companies that have some very good screening techniques that they use to try to predict the likelihood that somebody will turn over quickly, and a couple of them even the test will be a predictor of workers' comp claims as well, the way that they ask the questions. So there's and they also provide some follow-on during the onboarding process and communicating with the new employee either through email or text, just sending them weekly questions that may be like, how's your job going? Are you liking it there? Do you like your manager? Are you thinking about quitting? Does this seem like it's going to be a good fit for you? So they can give you some insight into, the employee doesn't feel hesitant to speak with anybody about it, through a text or an email. They feel much more comfortable about sharing that information, but it also gives you the intelligence to, take this information and use it to, maybe help save an employee that's thinking about leaving for some reason. Also, on the training portion, there are a lot of good online trainings out there, and they have the dashboards that can help you schedule trainings and also keep up with who's done what training. Those are the records that would be invaluable in case you ever did have to go into court. You could pull those and say, look, we've done everything possible to try to train this employee to do right. And also, you can record your own messages and, kind of broadcast out to your employees as well if you want to put your own welcome message, or, maybe there's something new and different that's changing in the company. You can add it to this online portal where all your employees can see that as well. So here again, what we want to do is, we want to increase our employee retention. And think about it this way, you want to make your company an employer of choice, not an employer of last resort. And so also with the recruiting, see, the internet has made this very easy to cast a wide net by posting jobs online, but unfortunately some of our HR people have gotten a little complacent with that, and we don't do the old-fashioned recruiting. And so I just advise everybody, you have to sell in order to gain good employees, just like you have to sell in order to gain good residents. You need to be out in the schools in your area, in the nursing programs, or in the CNA or aid training programs. You need to be talking, to church groups, high school groups, and try to explain that there are other positions besides direct care at our communities. And a lot of people want to start out in direct care and while they're in high school or college, and they can work their way up. But we also need to talk to the business and the marketing types to let them know what kind of jobs that we have available, and work really hard to build a network of professionals in our area and keep in touch with them, so that if they get ready to make a change, or if you have a great position coming up, you might have a select group of 4 or 5 really top-notch individuals that that you can make an offer to come to work for you. So it's very important that we just don't get sucked into the complacency of just posting it online and thinking that we've done enough. You still have to get out there, work very hard, to recruit the brightest and the best, and that will definitely help increase your retention. So we also just want to say, save the date. We're going to have part 2 on April the 30th. I think that's a Thursday. Also, it'll be from 1 to 1:30, another 30-minute webinar, and we're going to cover steps 6 through 10, which is creating opportunities for advancement, challenging employees, praising employees, developing an awesome company culture, which is very, very important, and then also really getting to know your employees. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at the address at roy.barker@m-d-s.com, or you can give me a call at 817-925-8374. Again, I want to thank everybody for your time and participation, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.